You can count the number of times that I've gigged a Les Paul in general on one claw. Like less than a hand. I don't. I think I might have gigged them like 2-3 times. I jumped up on stage with my buddy Jake Loosemore at a gig and played a Les Paul for that. I've gigged it a couple of times in my function band I play in. But last night I've been on this idea about whether or not I should sell it. I put up an Instagram story. There were a few yeses that came in quite quickly, and then pretty much everything since that was no. So yeah, I don't know. And then last night I gigged it, and it was a totally
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
As I say on this channel a few times, whenever I do like I've gigged this thing type video, the idea really is that I don't know about how you practice at home, whether you get time to practice anymore. But for me, in general, I don't spend sort of 2 hours at a time sort of just playing a guitar. It's normally way more broken up than that. So the idea with a gig is that it's a little bit different, and things that annoy you don't really creep out in just like a normal 10 to 15 minute thing, and things like tuning stability might not be as obvious, as well as, playing a gig, you're standing up, and crucially, it's about whether things feel comfortable there, whether the guitar seems to suit you in that situation. And what's really starting to become a little bit weird for me is that I did a video the other day sort of talking about how Strats, I don't generally use them live, and weirdly enough, on that same evening my buddy Jake was thinking the same thing, like that the Strat, as you're playing it, it's not when you're hearing it back, but as you're playing it, it kind of feels a little bit weedy. There's like, in general, a bit of an imbalance between the pickups, where like the neck pickup in a mix and playing with a band just feels kind of too full, and then the bridge pickup feels comparatively kind of empty. And there was these reasons that a Strat isn't necessarily the first thing I grab when I'm gigging. I think a Telecaster I put at the top of the list, but recently I gigged an ES335 for pretty much the first time in a function context, and that's near the top of the list now. And after last night, I think there's no way I can sell the Les Paul, because just playing it felt like a delight. It wasn't the easiest gig in terms of sound. There was a sax player, 2 guitars, and a very loud bass player. James, if you're watching, you're not, it's fine. Probably get some sleep. And then drummer, and the room was quite compact, but listening back it sounds okay. The thing is, the cleans on it just feel super bouncy, in a way that sometimes with a Strat, if you don't have enough volume, things, as I say, just feel a little bit on the weak side. And then when you're playing the lead tones, I guess because there's that little bit of extra push that a Strat pickup doesn't have, or a Tele pickup, it just, the notes seem to just fall out of the guitar. As well, with the lower kind of scale length, or smaller scale length, I've got this top wrapped as well, so slightly less string tension again, I think is science. Bends and stuff like that come off really easily on it, and I think it's a slightly flatter radius than my Strats, which are 10 inch. Just everything about it just feels, to me, pretty much great. It's, yes, a little bit heavier than the Strat, but I didn't really notice that on the gig either. So, unless you're in a situation where you've got like neck and back issues, I think you can get away with it, but I'll report back on that as I age. But definitely, I need to keep this experience in mind, because it was I think one of the best guitars that I've actually played live. And in terms of experience, like the PRS DGT, I felt was a little bit too easy to play, which sounds like a weird thing to say, but I didn't feel as in control of things like bends. Whereas the Les Paul, you know, when it came time to take a solo, I was just like, well, this feels amazingly comfortable. And then for the rest of the gig, where you're kind of playing rhythm stuff and just comping, or, you know, playing riffs, it felt amazing too. There were reasons that this gig shouldn't have been as enjoyable as it was. Another was that I was doing pitch shifting on the FM9, because there were a few key changes that were a little bit strange, so we're going to make it difficult to play songs in like an open tuning unless I had 3 or 4 guitars. Not an open tuning, but, you know, where you know, playing Journey in anything but like an E major shape just feels like a little bit wrong, or Living on a Prayer. So ended up pitch shifting stuff, which again should have been probably a slightly worse experience, but in fact it wasn't. And so for that reason, I think the Les Paul is going to the top of the list of things that I'm going to try and gig live. And now this kind of has a bit of a place, because I don't know if you guys have this. Do you have like a guitar or style of guitar that you play in the studio, that you or bedroom, that when it comes to live you actually favour something else? Do people do that? I don't know. It feels right to me though in this particular case, because it's just like, well, this feels fine. Like the Strat is perfectly sensitive and all that stuff at home, and then when it comes live it feels a little bit maybe weak sometimes, whereas the Les Paul maybe not sensitive enough for like the home stuff and doesn't suit me all the time for that. You know, it's a little bit of a slab with some strings on it. When it comes to live playing, something more robust with a fixed bridge, a big old chunky neck, it's a 50s style neck, with some 10s on it, it just feels great. You know, the Strat with 10s on it, sometimes the bending feels a little bit stiffer, whereas the Les Paul just seems to be absolutely fine. So yeah, do you have examples of people that have that kind of two modes kind of situation, where, you know, studio playing, home playing might be on a Strat, but when it comes to live they chuck on a Les Paul? I don't know. My good buddy David Beebe also went out last night with a Les Paul.
Hey guys, Beebs here, popping in on Cordy's channel. He asked me to record a bit of a quick what do I like, dislike about gigging the Les Paul. Cordy and I got that link with the Les Paul story, what we got in lockdown. Yeah, I was supposed to have got some gig footage from it last night, but using IEN, didn't realise it'd just be drowned out, so you can't hear a thing. I'm going to have another crack tonight and see if I can get some on tonight's gig, but that's not going to make Cordy's video. So I'm just doing this in the high street, outside the gym. Can't really do much of the gym because of my arm, so I've just been spotting my wife. What do I like about Les Paul? I don't really gig it that often. If I was going to gig a single cut, I'd use my Fibonacci Basic Jazz. I think that this is... I top wrapped it, so the neck angle on mine, which was the 60s, 2002 standard. Basically, I think the neck angle's set wrong. Some like Gibson's Les Pauls quite often are, apparently. So you can't like deck the tailpiece to get the break angle right, so for sustain. So I've tried top wrapping it for the first time. Gigging it last night, I had to restring it, and top wrapped it meant I could like bring the tailpiece down. But yeah, it made a huge difference actually to the tone. I think, well, sustain, definitely the sustain. Kind of like the guitar was like just more ringy and pleasant, zingy. I don't know. Terrible adjectives as always for this stuff. Yeah, but it was pretty good. My bending was all over the shop, so maybe it's a good thing that I didn't actually get good footage. Interestingly, just switching the scale length, so bending intonation wasn't as as good as it should be. But it does make me feel like a different player. It almost feels like I'm not playing guitar. It feels like it's a different instrument, switching to a Les Paul. They're such a physically different beast to Strats and Tellys. I think Tellys and Strats are far more similar than the Les Paul is to either of them. So it always feels like I'm playing a different guitar, different instrument. Yeah, what else about it? The frets are shot. Does need a refret. It's got that sort of early 2000s dominant fret wire, which was apparently a right bag of shit. And so, yeah, even though it's not had that much use, frets need redoing. I have had them leveled and crowned once, but still need doing. Pickups are pretty. Well, it's getting a bit wild and crazy here. Busy Sunday morning in Methley High Street, Rothwell. Anyway, Saz is here now, so I'm gonna have to go.
And good buddy Jake Loosemore as well was supporting Status Quo on Friday night in Taunton. So there's a chance that one or two of you guys might have even seen him playing with Toby Lee. Huge crowd in Vivery Park. So super proud of Jake. Well done, Jake. He was playing for Toby Lee, if you've heard of Toby Lee. Blues player from Cornwall. Super young guy, super awesome, and apparently a super nice guy too. So that's really cool for Jake. And yeah, so I don't know if David might have sent me some footage. So if he has, a revelation again. I can't really think why I didn't remember after my first time gigging it. I must have said something like I need to do this again because it was just fantastic. So yeah, the guitar will not be getting sold, but it is going to be in my live rotation a lot more. Cheers for stopping by.